Welcome back, subscribers and, moto enthusiasts, everybody. Welcome to this weekly MX Mashup news show. Kind of butchered that. Why I'm kind of late is there was some certain stuff going on in my life, so that's why the stream is an hour late. And I've been trying to figure out how to watch practice of the World Supercross because, it's this silly 24-hour delay, which is complete kind of horse poo-poo, if you ask me. This content is not live in the United States. It will be available as a replay, and I have my handy-dandy VPN here, and I put it to Australia, and I still freaking can't watch the dang race. Paid $7 for this deal. Not that I'm a cheap ass, but I'm a cheap ass, and maybe I'll continue to do some more testing available on it because, truthfully, I don't see anything on Fox Sports 1 again for it, and I'm a little bit upset. I'd like the Australian X, and you can't watch it right now because the actual World Supercross race isn't until Saturday, but the first round of the Australian Supercross series is tomorrow. Tomorrow about 12:30, like Mountain Standard Time, because it'll be like 6:30 there. I think Australia is something like 6 to 8 hours ahead of the United States, depending upon where you're at, But still, I will keep you guys tuned in if I'm able to access it with a VPN, because as of right now, they're not letting me do it. Race day live, and that's on board, yeah. They're freaking telling me in 12 hours, 19 minutes, and 20 seconds, you have purchased this video. Sit back and enjoy and wait till it starts. I tested it off air, but if I hit this little connect deal to Australia, then I'm guessing my stream is probably going to go out. So, DJ saying, I guess the whole VPN trick doesn't work for World Supercross. It's, virtual private network, that's what it's meant for, is to be able to do that kind of a thing, but it's a bummer. Ken says, well, it's a short race. His passengers. Oh yeah. You guys have been talking quite a bit in the chat room. I appreciate it, guys. So today I've got fairly of a short show because I've been busting out a lot of content with the straight rhythm, and that was fun to go down. I actually really enjoyed going down there, seeing a bunch of faces. I introduced myself to a lot of people that, I knew, but I haven't physically met. And so it was good. It was good because none of the media guys went up to me. I had to kind of, initiate the conversation, right? And, didn't have no wingman with me, but that's okay. We'll just WFO go in there and hope for the best. And I'm hoping that for Supercross, I can obtain a press pass as well so that I can give some really cool footage of the privateers and maybe a little bit of the pros. Ask them a little bit of silly stuff as far as, what do they do with their money? Do they own any cryptocurrency? Do they want any financial advice as far as the compound effect and index funds and what maybe to do outside of racing? Because I have an alter ego named Johnny Crypto, where it's like my second favorite thing to talk about. It's a half-half. Do I talk about racing or do I talk about finance? And then the third thing is I kind of like talking about politics and a little bit of religion, but, that never really gets very far with when I'm trying to make friends. You don't start off with, I voted for Trump, and, I'm agnostic. That's not the best opening sentence to having new friends, but cryptocurrency is a good little segue. But anyway, hopefully I'm able to obtain such access, and if not, maybe we'll just have to kind of like ask for forgiveness as opposed to permission, because I'm real good about that. But here, let me talk more about this Australian Supercross deal. I don't know if you guys saw my video this morning, but It was on, can I make this just a little bit bigger, on the track. And personally, the track seems very tame in a lot of these 90-degree corners, which means it's just going to be one line. The whoops, guys are going to be able to make some passes in the whoops, but these 90s are going to be hard. You know, these 180, you can come up on the inside of somebody and stuff somebody. That's where most of the passes are going to be made. But again, these 90s are just follow the leader, right? And you might stay a little bit lower here, maybe cut somebody up on this 90 here so that they can't do the triple. Then this is going to be a single, real hold your inside to make kind of an S turn there. So the track itself, I don't see it being as entertaining because of the sheer fact that it's just not as technical. But I get where they're coming from, is because they're trying to make it a little bit safer. But that didn't really work last time because we all saw Josh Grant and Chad Reed and a bunch of other guys, Dean Wilson, kind of get taken out on that on-off, which shouldn't have been that bad. And that on-off at the straight rhythm was much safer than the one at Supercross for some reason over there in Belgium. It's kind of ironic that happens, but hopefully there's no bike malfunctions in this one. And really, the race is between these two guys, is between Freezy and Tomac. Tomac has got 76 points. And why is it that he's got 76 points? Well, the reason why Vince... Sorry, somebody in the chat is Vince Fees. He says, Johnny, please explain how it is the last round and Vince is aggressive and as good started. Also, how Kenny avoids content. Yeah. I will get into that. But your name tripped me up there for a second because it sounds as if, it's Vince Freeze, right? Hey, Firefighter says he's loved the live content. I appreciate you tuning in. I enjoy talking and bantering and talking about racing. But, okay, I digress. Back to what we were talking about. Tomac, he's got 76 points. How does he have 76 points? Well, the reason why he has 76 points is you have 3 main events. 25, 25, 25. He won all 3. That's 75. But then you're like, okay, well, how come he's got that extra point? Well, you get 2 extra points. One for Super Pole, which Kenny won. And then the other one you get for the fastest lap time in the last main event, which is what Tomac had. So he gets the whole 76 points. Where Roxon, he would have normally had 60, but he got the Super Pole, right? And so he was able to get that 61 right there. But it's a real close battle between him and Freezy. You've got 58 points and 61 points. And small little segue. I am just interrupting because I want to let you guys know what my plan is for the future. If you've seen, I've got a Patreon and I've got a channel join. There's a few guys here in the chat, like Muppet, he's part of the channel. Appreciate you, dude, where he's got the sweet ass emojis to be able to add in the chats and in the comment section. I'm giving away damn near all of it is what I'm wanting to do. Okay, so right now I've got like $100 to kind of deal with, and with shipping and stuff, I'm giving away goggles this month, right? So next live stream, I'm going to have all these guys in there. If you join the channel, you'll get 1 to 2 tickets for the draw, and then if you join Patreon, you're going to get 3 to 4. It's basically a tier of like how much you're paying. And, giving away a goggle set. They're not going to be like the fanciest goggles because there's not a lot to go with. But overall, we're trying to, at least what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build. So I want to give away, 80% of it all the time. And for Supercross, looking at giving potentially away a full exhaust at the end of Supercross. And then, next month, I've got some graphics that we're going to give away, like $175 worth of graphics for a pure bike for next month of November. So it's a building process. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to show up at the races, right, and help out some of the privateers and be like, hey, this is sponsored by, the community. We want to see you guys do well and help the Patreons and the channel supporters. So that's what I'm doing. So it's $1.99 to join the channel. Feel free to do it. Just hit it. It's not much, but again, it's not really pocketing myself. It's helping the community, and then the goal is to help overall the privateers, because they're the guys that really need it. Because if you've seen some of my content, right? Okay, if I go back to my channel here, talking with some of the privateers, right? Like Josh Greco and Devin Raper. Dude, these guys don't have a whole lot of funds, and they are freaking... They're doing their best with what they got. Stank Dog, this was a real fun interview that I had with his crib and everything. But, dude, they're badasses for what they're trying to do with as little as they have, as opposed to the factory guys. But, okay, enough of that. Let's go back to between these two guys and who I personally think is going to win. And I kind of want you guys to hop in the chat room. And Johnny, the guys on Vital are crying over you again. Dude, I'd stay off of Vital. Maybe I'll look at it. Oh, God. Vital, they've been... love them or hate them, right? There's no such thing as bad press. So whatever bad press I'm getting on Vital, tear it away. Tear it away. Rip me a new one on Vital. Say that I don't belong in this sport and I shouldn't be doing any content. Do it. Do it. It's what Vital is good at with the forums, right? So it's kind of a bummer to see, because generally a human emotion is we all want to fit in to a certain extent. But I would rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not. So I'm not going to change. Plain and simple. Not absolutely going to change. And there's a saying that I was actually talking to Jason Wygant about this at the Red Bull Straight Rhythm, because we had a small confrontation, but we figured it out because we just had miscommunication vibes going on there. But I told him that originality is undetected plagiarism. And what I mean by that is there's really no original ideas anymore, right? It's people kind of taking somebody's idea and making it their own. And that's what social media is great upon. And I'm a millennial, and the Generation Zers behind me, that's what they're great about. And then you've got these baby boomers that, yeah, they've built businesses, but they don't understand the innovation of what's happening here. And that's what whole World Supercross is doing, is they're taking an idea from Feld and MX Sports, and they're adding to it. They're innovating on top of it, right? I have gotten multiple messages from people across the world that said, hey, I wasn't a fan of American Supercross, but because of my content talking about World Supercross, because nobody else is really doing it, that I'm now a fan. And the whole ideology is, hey, you create a fan, you see Ken Roxon over there in Australia or there in Belgium, and then you want to follow his career. So then, in a roundabout way, you have nailed yourself into a different demographic of people that wouldn't generally have seen the content, but now they're going over to Peacock to follow it, right? Same thing with me. If you want some more speculation, you can watch my stuff and a little bit more real, unfiltered, because that's what I am. I'm not getting paid by anybody. I can say how I see it, even if I see it wrong, right? That's the beauty of being able to banter and debate. Until I have some evidence in front of me that is going to make me want to switch my beliefs, but I'm open to change. I'm open to change when I see a reason, because experience creates your reality, right? And my reality, as far as being a privateer and suffering, that's all I know from this sport is suffering, right? I've never been a part of the real seeing it fruition and grow to how beautiful it actually is. So that's why some of my stuff ends up being a little bit dark, and I'm doing the best I can to kind of change that as I get introduced to more people that show how great this sport is. And truthfully, I just want to build it, but I want to start with people that have kind of the same pessimistic ideology that I do about working your ass off and not getting anywhere, right? So that's just my experiences talking. And back to a small example, right? Because I'm going off on a little bit of tangent here. Did you know that Windows, what I'm on right now, right? And most of you are probably either in front of a PC or you're on an Android or you're on an Apple device. But Bill Gates, and same thing with Steve Jobs, they stole the whole GUI system of the operating system from Xerox. Yes, you heard me, Xerox. The guys that were making paper stuff. They're the ones that invented basically the operating system, right? And Steve Jobs saw it and he innovated on it. He stole the idea. Then Bill Gates saw what Macintosh was doing and he stole Steve Jobs' idea, but he was able to do it a little bit better, right? That's that whole concept of originality is undetected plagiarism. Most people don't know that, but they didn't have an original idea. They just added to it, right? If you look at iTunes, it wasn't really a new idea. I forget the individual that came up with LimeWire and a whole BitTorrent, but they stole on top of that. Look at Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook. He stole the idea. MySpace had it first. He stole the idea, right? So that's where I'm talking about is I tell these people that this space is big enough for everybody. There is a market of 350 million people in the United States alone. But globally, there's 7 to 8 billion, right? So if you don't like my stuff, then boom. Then you don't have to watch it. Vince says that there's a whole thread titled Johnny Hopper. Yeah, I've read a little bit on it. It's gone back, to where David Villeman was starting giving me harassing me with some stuff, which is entirely fine, right? Because if you don't know me, you can kind of think like you know me because of how much content that I put out on the internet, which is fine, totally fine. I am all for people being real and saying what they need to do. I don't delete comments. I don't do any of that stuff, right? Because I believe even the bad, I tell this again to a lot of people, there's a fine line between love and hate. And just because somebody gives you shade doesn't necessarily mean that they hate you. They're just having a weird way of expressing somewhat of potentially some respect there, right? And I'm an open book, and maybe that's what gets me in a lot of trouble sometimes is I'm too open. But anyway, that's what I have to say about that. I might go look at it. Dun, dun, dun. DJ, this is why they talk about you so much. Love each other. I love all you guys, right? I love all you guys. And again, it's experiences that defines our reality. Perception is how we see the world, right? So what? I see it a little bit different than other people. Actually going to the straight rhythm and talking with some of the privateers, dude, they see it a whole hell of a lot closer to me than, one would believe. Right? So, and maybe I am, what is the saying when you have somebody that, I can't think of it on top of my head right now. Because there's actually nothing on top of my head, but guilty pleasure. That's it. Guilty pleasure. I think I'm a lot of people's guilty pleasure where they don't want to subscribe to me, but they will listen to some of the shit that I have to say. But it's one of those things where you're kind of like, it's almost like you're watching porn, right? You got this thing like tilted here. You're going, privacy screen, delete the history. I don't want anybody to know that I was searching up Johnny Hopper's video. Maybe that's really a bad analogy, but hey, it is for what it is. That's where I'm saying subscribe. Somebody, subscribe to this channel. We're growing the sport. We're doing it in a roundabout way. We're doing it differently than the other people. That's just what we're doing. So back to World Supercross. Vince Freeze. Love him or hate him. Drama follows him, which is honestly great for the sport. I don't know if you guys remember the interview, or actually, you probably remember the race where Weston Pike started beating the shit out of Freeze. I don't know why he was hitting him in the helmet, because damn near broke his hand by trying to pummel somebody. He should have been using his steel-toe boots, to trying to kick him in the ass, right? Try to... the whole glove to the helmet didn't seem like it was really working that well for him. But anyway, yeah, he got fined. But you know how much publicity that he got? And hey, Dan, nice to see you, dude, showing up in the chat. Appreciate it, brother. But he got so much PR from that his fan base grew immensely. And that's where I'm saying that the sport is entertainment, and it needs to be treated more like entertainment. And that's exactly what this World Supercross is doing, is treating it as entertainment. So again, love Vince or hate him, he's good for the sport. And truthfully, I think he's got a good chance to beat Roczen, right? He's not going to beat him in Super Pole. He's not going to beat him in the fastest lap time potentially, but sorry, you guys are no such thing as bad press. Yeah, yep, H&R Productions. You guys are catching me off guard with some of the funny comments that are coming up here. But yeah, there's no such thing as bad press, and he's good for the sport. Absolutely good for the sport. I don't think he can beat Kenny straight up, but he can get a better start than Kenny. You saw him at Cardiff beat out Tomac in the heat race, right? If he can just ride a wide line, he can win this thing, but he's got to beat Kenny the majority of the races. If he beats Kenny, he wins the world championship. And how cool would it be to have Vince Freeze win for the United States as well? But Adam Bailey and everybody over there at SX Global, they don't want him to win because it's a business and it's all about press. Do you really want somewhat of a semi-factory, a team that gets factory support but not full-on factory rider, win World Supercross? No, you don't want that to happen. If I was a businessman, I want Tomac or Kenny to win. And if I had to pick a third one, it would be Brayton, okay, because he's done it for so long. People in Australia know him. But as far as PR goes, it would be Kenny all day long because you can market off of that, and it's about making money at the end of the day. That's why some of the privateers don't get as much help, and, you're only as good as your last race because it's all about marketing. That's why, hence why Deegan is somebody that has the high ground. If you've ever read The Art of War, you never get in an altercation with somebody unless you have the high ground, because if you're not in a position of power, there's no point in arguing. There's no point in even bringing it up because it's just going to hurt you in the short run to the long run, right? So for that reason, I am on board with Vince because I'm an underdog fan. Love Kenny. At the straight rhythm, dude was fast as fuck. Fast, dude. I don't know if you've seen any videos of him whipping off of the freaking crazy-ass tabletop, that you needed balls the size of buffalo to do because, again, there was like a big huck on the landing of that you can't see. So if you case it, it's almost... Anyway, it was crazy. But if I'm being a realist, right? Not just a fan. If I'm being a realist, I don't think he's going to win. It's going to be Kenny is going to win. Kenny's going to win. What else do I really have to say more about World Supercross? I guess a lot of people are talking about Eli Tomac racing, but truthfully, as far as the rules go, you can only have a couple wild cards for each round, and 2 450s, 2 250s. And he's not signed up for the Australian deal. So it would have been cool to see him race, but he's not. And the other question that I get, and I can speculate on this, because I haven't really talked to many people that are in power to say much, right? The few contacts that I have of team managers, some of them respond, some don't. But that's totally okay. I totally get it. The whole thing about how come Cooper Webb, how come Jason Anderson, how come Sexton, how come Kenny are not able to race both races under a factory rig. Again, it's a simple answer, but again, it's sort of a speculative answer. It's about money, right? And if you followed me long enough, you've heard me talk about where contingency is in the sport of dirt bike racing. It goes American Motocross, then it goes MXGP, and then third, it goes to American Motocross. Did I say it's American Supercross? Did I say motocross? Forgive me. Supercross, America, MXGP, then American Motocross is how it's set up. There is no title money in here, contingency whatsoever from factories, right? All the money that's coming up is coming up from Supercross Global is paying them, kind of in an F1 format. There is no bonus structures being paid. These guys are on salary to do this. You know, I made a video earlier that was saying that certain teams had a $100,000 sign-on bonus to do these races, right? And then it was a $15,000 show-up deal to just show up to race. So you make 30 grand just by going across the world. And, you know, again, all your expenses are paid, but all the purse money that you make goes to the team. And then 5% of your purse money goes to your mechanic. You know, that's the way the contracts are set up. Here in America, it's a little bit different. Yeah, these guys get kind of a salary, but they also get a bonus for the manufacturer, Honda, Kawasaki, KTM, Husky, you name it, and that's written in the contract, and it's anywhere between like $50,000 to $250,000 per win or podium, right? It fluctuates. It depends on the leverage of the rider, what he has, but World Supercross doesn't have that. They don't have that. And then you have the same kind of pay structure for the mechanics where, you know, 5% is kind of minimum goes to your mechanic, which I think is just ludicrous because a mechanic, a factory mechanic, if all you guys in the chat room here are fans, you effing know how hard it is to work on a dirt bike, and especially how to work on a dirt bike at an elite level to try to keep a rider safe. It is an 80-hour to 100-hour a week kind of a job. Right? If you watched my last video with Devin Raper and his mechanic David, dude, these guys, they're almost bleeding through their eyes as far as how much effort was just to get to straight rhythm. You know, we talked about some stuff off camera. Actually, a lot of the privateers, we talked about some stuff off camera. And, you know, maybe eventually, you know, I'll feel open enough to where if they want to release some of that stuff, they will. But, you know, you got to respect people. Respect is earned, right? So I'm not going to go in and be incredibly disrespectful to the riders that, again, that I idolize because of, you know, jelly, right? There's a saying, being jealous. I am jealous of those guys because they've been able to do something that I have not, right? But I can also learn from their experiences, and I can empathize from a different perspective per se. But I'm getting off topic here as far as back to the little pay structure that they've got going on here. Some of the factory guys, they don't want to give their privateers or their mechanics any more money, you know, and really in the contract, they can give them as much as they want to, you know, and you can't take this as truth, but I did hear, like, last Monster Cup when Tomac won $1 million, you know, I think he gave his mechanic like 10 grand or something, you know, and it was like, okay, that's sweet, you know, why not give the sucker $250,000 because he kept you safe and that sort of thing. And Savachi, that's racing in World Supercross, love that dude because here, let's put a screen on him. Love Joey. He's racing for Wixware Racing. This dude, I've been such a fan of him since World Supercross because he gave up $100,000 purse money so that Tomac, you remember that where he pulled over to let Tomac win the $1 million, right? And the reason why I believe, again, speculation here, why I believe he did such a thing is because he was trying to, you do me a favor, I do you a favor, you do me a favor, right? It's like an unwritten rule where, hey, I'm going to do this for you. I hope you would do the same for me. And then that way, you know, that's whenever you're in a situation like that, okay, small little learning curve as far as persuasion goes is, have you ever been in a situation where, you know, somebody says, oh, no, you don't have to. And you tell them, oh, no problem, don't worry about it. No, those aren't the words that you should use. As far as to manipulate somebody, you know, you use words as if you would have done the same for me. Because then that's putting pressure on them that at some point you may need something from them and they remember what you did lastly. But if you go, oh, don't worry about it, no worries. That's not how you should speak. Yes, it's kind of a shitty manipulating as far as persuasion goes, and some people will catch on to that and not be happy about it. But trust me, it definitely works, right? It definitely works. You just have to have the balls to put yourself in that position. And that's, again, being in position of power. If you've got the high ground, and that's where I believe Joey was trying to do something, where he was trying to put himself in the position of power by letting Tomac by so that he could continue to have a Cowie ride later on. But then at the end of Supercross there, they canned him, which I was like, oh, that's so effed up, But again, it's a business. It's not about... These guys are monkeys in a circus. That's how everybody treats them. They're monkeys in a circus. And you are only as good as your last race. And it's super unfortunate. But until you make a team like what Chad Reed has done and Ricky Carmichael, you can't change it. But again, that's still based off of money, right? Okay, I'm going to end. We're at 30 minutes right now. I went a little bit longer than I wanted to. Let me take some time to read some of the comments here, and we'll just banter for, 5-ish minutes or so, and I'll let you guys go about your day. DJ says that you should make a separate channel on human psychology. Dude, racing, there is so much psychology in racing, and I wish I read as much as I do now. And truthfully, if I'm being honest, going a little bit further into that, is I felt like I didn't have time to read, and nor did I want to read when I was racing. Okay? But as soon as I had my career-ending silly shit happen, and I was no longer able to ride a dirt bike to the level that my brain would move at, I was like, you know what? Okay, I might not be able to ever run again, but you know what? Now it's a time for me, as opposed to building my body up, I can build my mind up. So that's when I decided, hey, I'm going to read 10 books this year. And then I ended up reading 25. And then the next year I was like, I'm going to read 25 books. And then it was 50 books, right? This year I'm on par at 38 books right now. I'm reading 4 books right now, and one is on psychology, the other one is on trading, and then I've got a book that just came in the mail that is about quantum physics, because I really enjoy, I'm a big believer in the simulation theory, and I just want to kind of understand how things work. You guys are saying Freeze is going to take Roxon out. Dude, if money's on the line, you can't blame him. If you were in his position, that's where people need to understand is, hey, if I was to give you $1 million, if you were to take somebody's front wheel out, would you do it, or would you have respect to where you're like, dun, dun, dun. And sorry, more comments are coming in, and I'm doing ebook count. Yeah, ebooks count. I love my Kindle. I absolutely love my Kindle. But no, back to the thing. If you were going to win $1 million, if you were to just take some guy's front wheel out, would you do it? Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. Again, it's about asking for forgiveness rather than permission, and Barsha is great about that. And he's made a career out about asking for forgiveness, not permission. Boom. Bob knows. What's up, man? Do I think Eli's going to win the championship for Supercross? Dude, that's a tough one. I think Sexton is actually going to win some races this year. I think AC is one of the guys that you got me on the spot here. I think AC is, it's either shit or get off the pot right now. We know that he's got a job broadcasting, because if you've ever seen him doing the Race Day Live stuff, he's incredibly talented and he speaks very clearly and confidently. If he could just transition that to his writing, dude, he'd be champion. Tomac, win. He's fully capable of it, absolutely capable of it. I am done trying to say that Tomac is over it, because every time I say Tomac is over it, he ends up doing really well. And watch, this time, now that I'm on Tomac's side, he's not going to perform. Then everyone's going to be like, the reason why he didn't do it is because Johnny Hopper was your kryptonite, and he always gave you such a hard time, and now he's for you, and it didn't go that way. Your mind gets sidetracked reading books, Muffet. Well, you haven't found a good book yet. Simple as that. People that say, and in no disrespect, dude, all I'm saying is my mind, look at how fast I talk. You think that it's not continuing to go? Because our minds are designed to tell us stories. Our minds are absolutely designed to tell us stories. And so you have to read long enough. It's almost like meditation. It's hard to really be in the state of flow in 60 seconds. That's why most meditation requires at least a minimum of 30 minutes of sitting in a room and not doing a goddamn thing. And it's really difficult to do that. But one of the things that I believe a man needs to be able to do is they need to be comfortable enough to actually sit in a room by themselves and be okay with it. And that's a really true sentiment to how well you think. You know, there's a saying that if you don't think too well, don't think too much. And I'm a casualty in that part too, is, you know, sometimes I can be overly pessimistic about things, you know, and nihilistic on my views of life in general, right? Because if I think philosophy-wise, if I think, okay, the universe supposedly has been around for 12 million years since the Big Bang, and now the Earth has only been around for 4 billion years, and, you know, I'm 32 years old, what in the F can I do in my lifetime of hopefully 100 years that's really going to matter? And in a global timeline, it's not going to effing matter. It's not going to matter. But I do have to say that having my daughter has changed my outlook a lot, as far as, hey, you know, to live is to suffer, and to find meaning in the suffering is kind of the meaning of life, right? You know, because without suffering, you don't have as much meaning to something that's good without the suffering, if that makes sense, you guys. Because if we all, that's why, oh God, you guys are getting me on one of my favorite topics here, and I might lose a little bit of you here, but if I'm speaking generally and just wholeheartedly as far as being open, that's why I've got, I believe more of like in a Buddhist outlook. Right? I don't believe in a God, and that's okay. And I don't think differently about anybody that has. They just have had different experiences than mine. And I find that a lot of religion is based upon just being a good person. But where I was going with this is heaven. Heaven is supposed to be just this incredible place where you have euphoria 24/7. And truthfully, without having bad things happen in your life, it doesn't bring any meaning to the good things, right? And that's just, you build character from bad things happening. Whether it's you go bankrupt, or you crash and get hurt, man, or, you know, your wife leaves you. Those experiences in life are ones that really open you up to true enjoyment, and it's about how you handle that stuff that really makes you a man, right? And truthfully, you know, society says that, hey, you're a man if you go to prison, you know, you're a man if you make a whole lot of money, and I'm like, fuck that. That's not the meaning of a man. Truthfully, since having my daughter, is like, the meaning of a man is when you have responsibility for other people than yourself, right? That's when you really shit or get off the pot. And I know a good portion of you guys here in the chat room know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's where I'd like to build a little bit on the sport of motocross too, is I don't truthfully believe that kids that are 16 years old should be able to go pro. It's because they just haven't learned enough life. You know, you don't give a 16-year-old $1 million because he's going to make bad decisions. And it's happened time and time again. You know, you look at Josh Hansen, you look at Nico Izzy, you look at so many, you know, Austin Stroop, right? You look at all these guys, Tyler Evans, man, like actually, maybe that's a bad one because he was a grown-ass man when stuff started happening. But I guess I'm going a little bit there. We'll end it there. We'll end it there because Philosophy 101, that's not where I was expecting this to go, right? What else are we talking about? I'm just looking at some of the comments, guys, because I know the reason why we like motorcycle racing. Generally, the reason why we like motorcycle racing is because it's a state of flow. It's a state to get away from everything else that's not going correctly in your life. That's where I found that I will always cherish riding a dirt bike. Even that I can't go WFO like I used to. And honestly, I'm generally scared to get hurt again. And it's just because of my past experiences of trying to kill myself multiple times. Like, not figuratively, right? Just by injury rise and, being in the ICU and things of that nature. It's a form of meditation. I talk about this a lot. Flow. And that's why people love it so much. And it took me a little while and some therapy to really find out as to why riding should still be there for me, is because of the meditation that it comes with it. You guys know what I'm talking about, is when you throw a leg over there, you turn everything off. Everything goes silent. Your brain stops moving. You stop worrying about stuff. Stop worrying about what your presentation you have tomorrow or money that you need to make. You're just generally in the moment, and endorphins are flowing. It's nice. It's a good feeling, right? It's better than drugs. It's better than drugs. Absolutely better than drugs. Dun, dun, dun. Backed is amateur 2-strokes for Supercross. Preach, brother. Johnny the Master Digresser. All right, guys. My little girl just woke up from her nap. So, and the bun says you don't have to have kids to be a man. I was speaking generally, right? As far as once you have to take care of other people is kind of when you move to be a man, where responsibilities is not just on yourself. It's on helping others. And you can take that for what it's worth. That's my sentiment and belief that I've learned over 32 years. And again, I will change my ideology with new information. When I speak to somebody that can do something better than me, I can learn from them and go, you know what? Truthfully, okay, I didn't know. I was wrong, right? And that's why, as far as politics go, I'm very much in the gray area as I get older, where I'm not super Republican, I'm not super Democrat, I'm very gray, because it is not black and white, and most things in life are not black and white. That's just plain and simple, right? Absolutely plain and simple. Dun, dun, dun. You guys are talking about all sorts of stuff. Anyway, can we brop it out? I know I haven't been bropping as much, but for the live stream, I will brop, right? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let's hit it. WFO, make sure you like and subscribe. We're trying to grow the sport, even if it's in an uncanny way. Bra da 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 whoa 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 whoa. Appreciate you guys.